What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 645 of The O Show. We are presented by TickPick.com. Lisa Ann, have you ever used TickPick?
I have not used a tick pic, but I've gotten a lot of dick pics.
Okay, perfect.
You knew that was coming, right?
Nobody else ever makes that analogy. It's so easy. It's right there, right?
How could they leave that fruit just hanging and not just grab for it?
It's just a
low
softball.
hanging. It's right there. Yes.
It's a softball pun. You smacked it out of the park. But TickPick.com, we have a promo code. It's capital OSHOW20, OSHOW20. Get $20 off your next order at TickPick. There are no hidden fees. We are live at Hardin Cannabis Dispensary, all thanks to Spencer Barrick or Damon Dice, whatever the hell he goes by these days. I don't know his real name.
I usually go by Spencer because that is the name that he uses for his semi-pro wiffle ball league.
That's right.
So I feel like that's where his real claim to fame is eventually going to be, when people realize that wiffle ball is not just for 4 to 6 year olds.
That's right. That's right. And he uses the same logo. So that is the Baltimore Orioles logo that I use in my show's logo, and he uses it for his wiffle ball team. Hopefully one day we can be play-by-play and color commentators for his wiffle ball team. That'd be my dream.
It would be. It would be fantastic. You'd have to add so much verbiage in there about the weight of the ball and the bat and the average age. And this is really pushing the envelope and these grown men, it's smaller field, like all about it.
Unfortunately, what's the age range? 4 to 6 year olds?
Yeah, on average. That's what Google said.
Boo.
So by the way, the Orioles have never come at you.
Well, here's the thing. 7 years ago when I started the podcast, it was me and my brother in our basement in New Jersey. And I told him the day we make it is the day the Orioles reach out. And about 6 months ago, maybe a little bit less, their PR team reached out. It was just like, you can keep it. You just got to like tilt it a little bit. You got to change the color. You just got to do something with it so we can't flag you for it. Because usually they would fine,
YouTube,
right?
And then it's an issue. Yeah, I get that. It's not worth it, but you got the call.
Exactly.
Did you ask for tickets? Did you say, hey, if I do this for you, can I have some? They travel. You don't always have to go to Be More. You know?
That is true. They're also not the New York Yankees. You know, the Orioles tickets are like $10 on
easy. Those are for
site.
good seats. You might be able to $6. I'm a Mets fan. Are you a Yankees fan?
I'm a Yankee fan, yeah.
Oh, okay,
I know.
No problem.
But you guys are the talk of the town, at least this year.
Because we spent a shit ton of money and nothing ever
Justin
happens.
Verlander, congratulations. Carlos Correa didn't work out, though.
Yeah. I mean, Verlander, it would have been a sexier play if it was like 5 years ago, Verlander, but I still think he has some good games ahead of him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for him to get the contract he did at 39, 40 years old.
I don't know how old they expect these players to still be playing.
Yeah.
Give me a 10-year contract. You own me for 10 years. And also, Citi Field is kind of in the midst of nowhere. Once he realizes what the commute is like there all the time, he may rethink the 10 years.
Mm-hmm. I always remember going to Mets games. I had to pass Yankee Stadium, pass the Bronx to get into Queens. And that's brutal.
It is.
I didn't like that. But thanks so much for coming on the show today. I know you're doing interviews. You got a ton of stuff going on, huge in the sports betting space now. Mm-hmm. What got you into that specifically?
So in 2013, I was doing a show for a couple of years already for SiriusXM. It was called Stripper Town. It was a great show. It was a Monday night show, and people would call in. They'd tell like the craziest shit that happened at strip clubs. And then I would interview girls in the industry that were going on the road, feature dancing and dancing. And during the season, my diehard fans, thank you to all of you, they would sneak by my producer by lying and saying they had a story, and then they would give me the Monday Night Football update, where we were in the game, who was winning, who got injured, and that did not work for Playboy Spice Radio. They did not want sports commentary. So eventually I got my 2 write-ups. On my 3rd write-up, my producer's like, by the way, my friend in New York at SiriusXM had a show with Playboy Playmates doing fantasy football, and the show broke up, and he wants someone else this fall. The next week I flew to New York. I met my boss. I said, listen, I know sports. I don't know fantasy sports, but all of my guy friends that are idiots play fantasy football and they love it. So I think I can learn it. I read all the history. I really wanted to get deep into, how it started with the rotisserie leagues, what it was like when commissioners had to write out the stats and mail them to their league mates, how excited they were when the fax machine was invented because they could get them their stats same day. My first show was September 9th, 2013. I was with SiriusXM for 7 years. I left to do my own thing, and then my boss from SiriusXM started his own company, Better Sports Network, and I'm back with my original boss. So I love doing it. I love the game inside the game, and I also love the fact that for the first time in my adult life, I've been able to escape from me being the only thing that matters to me not mattering in this factor unless I can set a good lineup or build a good parlay or place a solid bet, which is not always guaranteed. But I love the factor of just like leaning in. Like I can listen to 8 hours of sports radio a day, 5-6 days a week. I take one day to listen to music and podcasts, but I just love it. I love what I learn. I love the unique things you learn about players, you know, what they do on their free time, what their hobbies are, what their interests are, what got them into sports, and who they hang out with. And now we have a lot more players doing their own podcasts.
Yeah.
So we're getting to learn even more about the players that we watch and really enjoy watching.
Who introduced you to sports either as a kid? Like, how did you fall in love with sports?
Both my parents.
Yeah.
My mom was a basketball mom for Lafayette College.
Nice.
So she would cook meals for the away teams that before they got on the bus, they had a home cooked meal. So from like a very young girl, my entire winter, fall, schedule was like the Lafayette College home games were on our fridge, and we knew that we were going to every game. And I just loved basketball. I loved the sneakers squeaking. I loved the intensity of the game. I loved how fast it was. And then my dad, who we visited every Sunday, watched football all day on Sundays. And so I got really into football. My dad doesn't like sports broadcasters, so we had to listen to Italian music and watch the game. So I really had to learn what the refs were calling and what plays were happening because I wasn't getting any information from the TV. And that got me into both. And I played basketball all through school. I still play basketball now. I moved into a building in New York City that has a basketball court, so I could shoot regularly. And, it just grew. Sports are the greatest escape. Going to a live game at an event, you just realize that nobody gives a shit about anything going on in their life except what is happening right there. And I love that feeling. Some people feel it with movies. Mm-hmm. I'm not as much into movies. I'd rather watch games. But whatever it is that your escape is, it just became the great escape.
I love that. Because I fell in love with baseball specifically when I was like 4 years old.
Okay. Who introduced you to it?
Probably my dad. He just had it on TV. I immediately I was drawn to the Mets when I first started because it was like Mike Piazza, David Wright, Jose Reyes, all those guys. And for whatever reason, because everyone else was a Yankee fan in the house, I'm like, I'm going to be a Mets fan. Lasted all of about 2 weeks maybe. Went to my first Yankee game, like A-Rod was hitting like 50 home runs.
Oh, that was in the old stadium too, right?
Right.
Before they built the new one, which the old stadium had more of a baseball feel than like
different.
a mall. I feel like when I go to the new stadium, I'm like at a mall and then I walk out and the stadium's there. It's not that. Citi Field is real. It's a real baseball feel.
Yeah. It's got it's got the wiffle ball field, the video games in the back. Was it Shake Shack, which is unbelievable. I think Shake Shack and then the Bleacher Bar at Wrigley Field, 2 best burgers I've ever had in my life.
But the problem with Shake Shack is it takes so long, and like
you miss 4 innings.
And who wants to do that? Like, why can we not have an app? There was a time where A-Rod was considering becoming a part of, the Mets organization, and the first thing I said was, "Yo, A-Rod, if you're gonna do this, can we just start ordering from Shake Shack at our seats, and then we get a message? They don't have to deliver it. I'll go get it for me and my friends.
Yep.
But don't make me stand and look at a 27-inch television in line and hear the game be... there's nothing worse than hearing the crowd roar and your back is turned to it because you're waiting for the best burger ever. It is a good burger.
Well, luckily you also have that giant screen, like in the back.
Yeah, it's
like
not
it's
the
double-sided,
same.
and you're
It's
just
not
like
the same.
looking at it the entire time.
I feel like a jabroni standing there. Like, get your food early and sit down and just don't leave.
It's like I just paid multiple $100s to do what I could have done at home. I'm watching it on TV.
Yeah. And annoyed at the people that they don't realize you're in a hurry. Mm-hmm. Expedite this, but they make them fresh. The fries are great too. Mm-hmm. All really good.
What's your most favorite sporting venue to be at?
Okay, so for baseball, I love PNC in Pittsburgh.
Beautiful stadium.
That is a beautiful stadium. And not only that, when you come in from the airport in Pittsburgh and you go through the tunnel and then you come out and you see like the skyline, which always reminds you of the one Batman series that was shot there. And then you got Three Rivers Stadium over on this side. You got PNC. Like, I feel it. Like, I feel like I'm in a sports city.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite ballpark. I would say basketball arena has to be MSG just because there's such a vibe. Such a vibe. And hockey, I haven't gotten to see the Vegas Knights in person yet, but of course Anaheim was really great when they first put that together for the Ducks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think Anaheim's a great city in general.
I've knocked almost every stadium and ballpark off my list. I still have about 50% of the hockey arenas. And I don't include it. Like if it's a shared like Staples, you can't say you've been to the hockey game at Staples just because you went to see a Lakers game or a Clippers game at Staples. It doesn't count. Has to be switched over. Has to be hockey. So I'm trying to, that's like a lifelong goal is to see every park. And then, something new opens. You're like, okay, that one doesn't count anymore. Got to go back.
That's my problem with like half of them. Like the Texas Rangers, now they have Globe Life Field. I'm like, I got to go back there. The cool thing about like Wrigley or Fenway or even like Lambeau Field, like they're never getting rid of those places because they're attached. Like they're literally, not just figuratively, but they're literally attached to the cities to where if they took them down, they'd have to reconstruct half of downtown.
Right. It just wouldn't work. You can't do it.
Yeah. So you're New York based. I mean, that's where, to me, like being in Phoenix, I've been in Phoenix for 7 years now, right? You don't really get the same toughness, right? Being out west, people are a lot nicer. People are
way nicer.
Everyone's willing to collab out here.
Yeah.
We're like back east, like if you're not a big shot, you're not even getting a chance. Like, how do I become a big shot if you're not gonna like mold me into becoming one, right?
Very different. It's definitely more intense, but there's definitely like great things about it. Like in New York, you can be in a cab and have a full out fucking verbal altercation with your cab driver and still work it out. Pay them, be like, all right, peace out, bro. Because they fuck up, you can yell at them and it's okay. Like in LA or Phoenix or here, you yell at somebody, they're like really taking it personally. They don't take it personally in New York. It's also, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I lived in California for 30 years. And the last like 5-7 years of me living in California, I also had a studio in New York. And because I wanted to do my show for Sirius in the studio, because it was exciting walking into that building, the building where Stern is, the building where so much happens. I'm like, I just want to have an employee laminate and be able to walk in. So I rented a studio apartment right across the street from the studios at Sirius XM. And that energy to me was very different. You're in the fishbowl, you're watching celebrities walk by to like promote their movies or whatever, other athletes coming in. And I just felt it there. I just feel like in the Northeast, people are a lot more like committed to their sports teams. LA, I'd meet a guy. I'd be like, oh, that's a really nice hat. Are you a Pirates fan? And he'd be like, no, it matches my sneakers. And I'd be like, oh, I would like to murder you. And I never want to go out with you again. Like that's normal in LA. But in like New York, you buy a Mets hat that doesn't have the official colors, but it has the logo. A Mets fan is going to be like, why are you wearing that hat? It's not the colors. You must not have Mets pride. If you had Mets pride, you'd wear those colors. I mean, Spike Lee doesn't walk into MSG without looking like the Knicks colors threw up on him. And that's definitely a Northeast thing that's different than anywhere else in the world.
Like the latest and greatest professional authentic jacket, jersey, sweatshirt, hat.
Sneakers.
It's like you want to feel like a player.
Yes.
You're right. There's like the camo hats. I see Yankee hats that have like Red Sox colors that
or
people
they're
will
all
wear.
black.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't even match a special day uni. You know what I mean? It's not like a Sunday whites. Like, at least stay in the category of something the players would wear or not wear. If you're breaking that barrier, it's kind of like an unspoken sports rule that you just know better. I was born and raised a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Cowboys, yeah. Born and raised, still a Cowboy fan, or did you switch?
No, still.
Okay, cool.
And
some people switch.
Not easy
No,
growing
no,
up outside
of
of
course.
Philadelphia. Not easy. Very disliked. But they were America's team when I was growing up. And remember, growing up in the 70s, we didn't get every team televised. So you followed the three big teams. You made your choice. I just was never into Philly fans. They're very nasty people.
When I had to be 10 years old. My brother's 7 years old. He's 3 years younger than me. We went to a Jets-Eagles game at Lincoln Financial. This must have been 15 years ago.
Okay.
Eagles, when it was Michael Vick, they won like 45-10, whatever. I was wearing like a Jets beanie, being from Jersey. It's like, well, we'll represent. They're throwing beers on us left and right. They're just like, fly, Eagles, fly. I'm like, I'm 10 years old. And I knew at the time, like, I'm a mature kid. But I'm like, that's not right.
I always negotiate with people, like, if I wear Cowboys gear at a Giant Stadium, I'm always like, you do understand that two teams have to play to have a game. So if I want to wear Cowboys and they're playing your Giants, like, why doesn't this work? Why are you going to bully me? You're going to bully me because, like, I'm buying a ticket in your arena. Like, it makes no sense, but that's how the Giants fans are. That's how the Philadelphia Eagles fans are. No love for that.
Are you numb to the fact that the Cowboys just disappoint us year in and year out?
Oh, yeah.
I watch games and I'm like, it doesn't even hurt anymore. Like, you just expect it. They never get past the divisional
Never.
round. That's where it's like, okay, I'll be shocked. Like, even if they make I thought they had a good chance at potentially beating San Fran this year, but I still really wasn't excited. I'm like, they got to get past Philly. It's like, it's just
I
not gonna
did not
happen.
think they could beat San Fran due to the defense. Also, we have a lot of inconsistency. And so for me, if you remember, the last big game for the Cowboys was also the last big game for the Giants. And so when I was betting the next week, I was like, okay, look at the stock market. And some of the best guys that used to be on the market that are now full-time in sports betting, they look at trends. And so Dak doesn't have two big games in a row. And either does Daniel Jones. So to me, it was like, okay, right here, Giants are done. Right here, Cowboys are done. It's that simple. Michael Gallup is not consistent. Brandon Cooks is a good pull. Now, we just picked him up this week for a draft pick. Okay, no big deal. But Brandon Cooks, before he got lost in the zone of the Texans, was always playing 16 games a season, was always averaging 1,000 yards a season. So I do believe Brandon Cooks can be a decent asset, but I would have been happier with Odell.
Mm-hmm. I would have too.
I really wanted Odell.
And now we don't have Zeke, so
I'm fine.
What are you gonna do?
You know what? I'm fine with Zeke. He didn't do enough for me. We got Pollard. You know, in my world right now, every night before I go to bed, I say the prayer. Like, if we could get Austin Eckler, my whole life would change, because that boy just gets in the end zone, and we know he wants out of San Diego. And like, I know it's a budget thing, but we did let go of Zeke. But make this happen. When I get back to New York, I will go directly to St. Patrick's and I will light candles for Austin Eckler. I pray for sports.
That's a little absurd. I don't know.
You don't do that?
I don't. Not that much. I do have superstitions. I don't go that far.
I go that far. If I have a matchup, like fantasy football matchup that means a lot to me, I do go to the church and light candles.
Nice.
I mean,
Are you religious?
I have faith for sports. Yes.
Yeah, for sports. I feel the same way. Aaron Rodgers might be a Jet, so he's going to be in East Rutherford pretty soon. And we were talking about our mutual love for Pat McAfee before we came on.
We were.
Literally the #1 sports show in the world.
I agree. I mean, they had 495,000 live viewers the day that Rodgers was on last Wednesday.
All right. And he's
on
usually on
YouTube,
Tuesdays. Like,
and
everyone knows that.
I know. I wouldn't have booked a flight on a Wednesday if I thought he was going to be on a Wednesday. I revolved my life around that show. It is a great show. But the fact that we learned the truth, that it's really the Packers that are kind of holding the Jets a bit of hostage, but yet the Jets already made all the moves that would have been ideal. You know, Lazard, who else did they take? They moved 3 pieces from Green Bay. I mean, it's going to happen. And are you a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Do you agree that this entire season for Aaron Rodgers, if he does suit up as a Jet, is a spite season?
Mm-hmm.
And that is so great for Jets fans, and I'm so happy for them, because Rodgers will play a spite season broken, beaten. He could have a dislocated shoulder. He's still better than another player that's healthy. But to me, it's like, oh, after I heard that episode of McAfee, I was like, oh, this is a fucking spite season. This is like Curb. Larry opens the coffee shop to spite the other coffee shop. Like, this is what this whole season's going to be. And, of course, living in New York, my door staff are either Jets fans or Giants fans. And so we talk mad sports. And so I'll spend way too much time walking my building to see who's working where to talk games. And so when I was leaving the day before, I was like, so tomorrow, you know, Roger's going to talk about your team. Like, we're all going to be watching. We're going to be sitting at the desk watching. I'm like, you're getting him as a Jet.
It's, to me, he's had like back-to-back spite seasons, even with the Packers, because he wasn't on great terms. He came out, spoke candidly about, you know, his COVID takes, whatever. Everyone thinks he's crazy. He had the 4-day retreat a few weeks ago, which I think really solidified that he still wants to play football too.
Yeah.
You're taking this guy, arguably the greatest quarterback who's still playing today, right?
Yeah.
From like a Hall of Fame legend
Agreed.
perspective, right? And he's only got 1 ring, which is crazy. But now you're going to go to an organization that has the worst luck I've ever seen in any organization in sports. And growing up in Jersey, I saw it. I'm like, Woody Johnson can't catch a break with anything that happens. And he's following in Brett Favre's footsteps after 20 years being a Packer. Both Rodgers and Favre, they're going to go to the Meadowlands and see what happens. Didn't work out for Brett. We're going to see if it works out for Aaron.
I think it's going to work out for Aaron. I think Aaron will do the right thing. He'll burn sage. He'll bring his good juju up in there. And what I love how Aaron Rodgers just turns the sports world upside down. It really defined for me which broadcasters I will continue to listen to and won't. If you're dogging on someone for doing ayahuasca or you're dogging on someone for doing a darkness retreat, that shows me that you don't have the mental capacity to understand, because you feel if you were as rich and successful as Aaron Rodgers, let's not forget he took home the Crystal Trophy at the Pro-Am as well, playing golf this year. You feel that if you were that, then that's all that matters. But because Aaron Rodgers is so not led by ego, he wants to dig deeper and be a better human being. He wants to learn more about himself. He wants to be in solitude, away from the opinions of others, to think, is this what I want to do? Do I want to play football? Okay, now, do I want to play for the Packers? The fact that when he got out, he realized they were kind of shit-talking him. That was the defining moment for him. But he at least got to decide on his own, I still want to play. I find it fascinating that we talk so much about mental health. We talk so much about bullying. But if you're a sports fan like you and I are, and you're active in the sports community more even than I am, you understand like, oh, all of you people that talk about anti-bullying and all of you people that talk about mental health, you are the absolute worst people to talk about it, because when somebody does something you don't understand, you make fun of him. Mm-hmm. You make it a pun. You make it a joke every time you talk about him. And you know, people really don't like him. And I'm like, how can you not like somebody that didn't wrong you? And the fact that how can you not like somebody that gave you so many hours of enjoyable football watching? To me, it's like he doesn't need to serve any other purpose in your life. You don't like him because he only interviews with Pat McAfee. You don't like him because he doesn't do the same thing every other football player did. But it's wild to see what he does and how different people respond. And then what Brady has done and how different people respond. I believe in Deflategate. I know that shit was real. Mm-hmm. I know he has a way with people that's manipulative and gets away with it because he's just a perfect looking human. But so that really helped me like turn my channel on some shows. I'm like, you're dead to me. I'm never listening to you again because I love Aaron Rodgers.
Man, what do you think of Brady's podcast? Because he does the Sirius XM show with a few of those guys, right? Like Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald, who's barely ever on. And who is it? Jim, who's his lead?
Is it an announcer?
Yeah, you would know him if I could say his name.
Jim Nance, Jim Rome?
No, not either. Can you look
Help
up
us
Tom
out.
Brady's podcast? It's called Give and Go on Sirius XM. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because this podcast that Tom Brady has been doing for 2 full years is exactly what it's like to work for Sirius XM.
Really?
You fall into a social media black hole where nobody knows about you or listens to your podcast. When I went to my team, my agent, and then my team at SiriusXM in 2021, I was like, look, been with you guys for 7 years, but I feel like I'm in a social media black hole here. You don't share clips. The only time you hear ads for the show is if you would be listening to the SiriusXM app, which I still do use to listen to Greeny. So I still do have it. Did you find it?
It's called Let's Go with Tom Brady.
Yeah, who's the other host on it with him? It's Larry Fitzgerald and Jim Gray.
Jim Gray, okay.
Who just sounds like Jim Gray's he's great. But it is dull. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is dull. They don't even let Brady swear, okay? So, like, when he swears, they bleep it.
Yeah.
So, like, I've probably listened to a solid 3 hours in the 2 or 3 years that show has been on. But the fact that Tom Brady, one of the most electric quarterbacks that has been in the league for older than Rodgers, you know, won a Super Bowl after leaving the Patriots, which nobody thought he could do anything without Bill Belichick. The fact that he's had a podcast, and I bet you 98% of the world does not know that, is bad.
I thought the first episode they did was when they brought on Bill Belichick like a couple months ago. I'm like,
Oh,
he's
no.
doing a podcast now.
This show's been on since 2020. 2021 is when they started it. And Fitzgerald's a dynamic person, really intelligent, took every offseason to travel, speaks multiple languages, like a super awesome dude. But like, that's what it's like to be with SiriusXM. You fall into this. So when I left, I said, look, I just want to take 6 months and see what happens on my social if I'm like creating my own content. I gained 1 million followers on Instagram in 6 months. So that's when I was like, I'll come back and do a guest spots once in a while, but I can't be with you anymore. We don't align. Like they do not share content, and that hurts Brady. And I don't really think Brady promotes it a ton either.
Doesn't care.
It's not like in his bio on anything
no.
like SiriusXM.
It's probably all about money at that point for him. And he's getting paid more as an analyst. He hasn't stepped into the booth one day. He hasn't put the headsets on one day, and he's going to get paid more than he did his entire playing career.
His first contract as an analyst is more than his entire earnings as an NFL player. That's wild. And he better be good because people are going to have high expectations. I do think he'll be good. I think he'll be prepared. I think what we're seeing right now with the world turning against Tony Romo, it was fun at first to play Ouija board, crystal ball with Tony Romo. I'll never hate on Romo. I love his takes, right? But he's not very prepared. He can't tell you the history of a player. Was their dad an athlete? He can't buy time with tidbits.
Yeah.
And when you're listening to games, what do you love? You love that tidbit that you're like, ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
About where they went to college or something great they've done.
Yeah.
Romo doesn't go there.
He got away with it his first year. His first year, I'm like,
Sure.
he's predicting everything
Yeah, we were
that's
like,
happening.
tell us the lottery winning tickets. Like, what's next?
And then people kind of saw, oh, this is his whole game, Him and Jim Nance, they have chemistry.
They
I'll
do.
admit it. It's
They
just
do.
like he needs to be a little bit more the fact that CBS got that mad at him.
So mad at him that they were going to have some sort of an intervention. But Brady will take it to the extreme, and he will be good. There's no doubt about it. And he will be prepared. But it's also awesome to see players having opportunity after their careers.
Yeah. Yeah. Pat McAfee, to me, I think there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that Pat McAfee was an NFL punter or played football. Like, there's a lot of people who, in like the WWE universe, who's like, oh, commentator Pat McAfee,
From
who has his
Barstool. I'm
show.
like, he's not a fucking Barstool. He's a punter.
He was a Pro Bowl punter.
He was.
Who also happened to train to be a professional wrestler since he was 11 years old, which I didn't know about until I heard that story and he performed at WrestleMania.
Did you watch him on WrestleMania?
Of course, I was there. Dallas, Texas.
Oh my God,
I loved
you
it.
got to go?
And I'm going this year at SoFi Stadium, too.
Oh my God, how was it?
Unbelievable.
He was so much more athletic than people expected.
The backflip, and then for him to do the whole squat jump and then do the suplex to Austin Theory, that blew the roof off the place.
The energy must have been incredible.
And then Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's like the GOAT of professional wrestling from a charismatic standpoint, gets the biggest pop I've ever seen, comes in, drinks a few beers with Pat, Stone Cold Stunner. Pat knew how to sell it completely. He's like, that was the greatest moment of my life. He's like, I don't even care if my wife knows it. Like, that was the greatest moment of my entire life.
I can't believe you were there. What a great event to go to.
I try to go to WrestleMania whenever I can. I grew up,
good to know.
I've been a wrestling fan since I was a little kid. So it's
So
like,
you're familiar with Paul Heyman?
Paul Heyman is the greatest mic worker, promo artist. I'll call him a promo artist I've ever seen for someone who's never actually been in a match. And his story
And you've
is
met him in
unbelievable.
person, correct?
I have once. He is very
He's
intimidating.
fantastic.
He's fantastic. He's intimidating.
He's a great human, though, and he takes people under his wing through his life that he reaches out to. I got the privilege of meeting him a couple of times and then was able to have dinner with him. And still to this day, like when I'm doing good things out of nowhere, I'll get a text. And I hear the text, I read it to myself as if he was cutting a promo. And I feel it, like the juice is there because he uses his words. And then he's like, that was really great. You keep doing this thing. And I'm just like, and it just like, it's like a check. Like it's like when you don't have a boss, but the person that just comes down over you and like tells you you're doing the right thing to stay on the path, you're like, so hype for days. He's a monster.
He's probably like Miss Anne.
Such a great dude. So, and also so helpful, like in his community of linking people together. He's introduced me to people that I've been friends with for 10 plus years now, that he just wants the good people he knows to look out for each other. And he has that like fiber in him where he's just like, oh, I think you two should meet. I think you two should meet. Amazing.
And he is as real as they come too. So he's not going to BS you if he doesn't think you're worth it.
But like if you hear his voice somewhere in person, like if he's talking to somebody before you walk in to see him, it's like no one else is even talking. You just hear his voice. I feel like it would be like that for me with McAfee right now. If I walked into a restaurant, McAfee was across the room and talking, I would be like, everyone stop breathing. I hear him. He's in this location.
Have you tried to get on his show?
Not yet. I'm waiting till Gumpy comes back.
Yeah.
So what I did was when they were selling the free Gump shirts to get Gumpy back, the import-deport situation, I was like, I'm going to silently buy this shirt. I'm going to take a bunch of photos in it. I'm going to post it at 12:01 on a Wednesday. I know their whole interview schedule. I knew that would be a good time. I knew they'd be just coming up on something. And they made a big deal about it. And if there was a moment where all the listeners of McAfee thought Gumpy and I were going to get married so I could bring him back. But it's just not that easy, especially with Canada. Or I would have already done it. But then after that, I became close with Gumpy. We watched remotely. We watched Succession together. Just like I check on him weekly, making sure he's still in a good headspace because it's got to be frustrating. But so I'm waiting for Gumpy to come back. And when he flies back to the U.S., I plan to, no matter what I'm doing, drop everything, be at the airport with a bunch of fans, with signs, and just welcome him, like make it just this crazy thing. And then I told him, like, whatever he wants. He wants to fly to Vegas. Every time he's off, I will sponsor him to take mad trips with me to just welcome him back to the U.S.
And it's so dumb what's happening, too.
He could just go in through the border at Mexico. I keep telling him, but it's not going to work. But it's sad. It's sad. But at least, Pat has him working. He's still doing all the editing. He still does Hammer Down, all the podcasts and everything. So he's still good. But so I'm waiting for that moment. I don't want to burn it yet. I want to be side by side with Gump when it happens.
Well, that'll be a cool reunion then. To be on like your favorite show and have that reunion at the same time. And I'm sure you're welcome on at any time.
I'm sure. And like the guys in the studio, that bit that day was like, it was hearing all of their commentary about me was really, really sweet. And I was like, all right, we're just going to leave this here. And then we're going to keep making it about Gumpy. But like anytime guys on the internet see me posting a photo, like I was with Mikey Overs this weekend, all I get is, does Gumpy know about this? Does Gumpy know about this? I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like May last year. Like you're still on this and I still love Gumpy, but there's nothing I can do about it right now.
Yeah. That's great. That's like, of course, he has a phone, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like
we talk regularly. He knows what I'm doing, but that show is just dynamic and really showing us that you can have fun without being negative.
It's the new norm. Like we were talking about traditional broadcasters on the way out. Like we talk about a Jim Gray, legend, Hall of Famer, does not resonate with people my age or
oh my gosh,
teenagers.
There's no way if you put him on in a room and didn't let people have their phone, and on the other side let people have their phone, they would be listening for 60 seconds. They'd be so deep in TikTok. Like, there's like, I need something faster. I can still listen to him and still hear it while I'm doing this. It just wouldn't work. And also, like, look, I love Michael Irvin. Cowboys, Cowboys love. But, like, Michael, like, you can't talk about how good the Cowboys are for 20 minutes every fucking week because they're not. They never are. They're never going to be better than a 10-6, 10-7 team. They're never going to make it past the first round. We know this. I went to the last Super Bowl the Cowboys were in Arizona. I was like 95.
Yeah.
That's been a long time. Like, young people don't know that they call them America's team. Some of these people weren't born yet. They don't know we've been to the Super Bowl. They have no idea. And then Stephen A., like, he'll just go on a rant. So in the morning, I start my day with Get Up every day. And I start my day with Get Up when Greeny's doing it.
Yeah.
And then at 10 a.m. Eastern time, it switches to Stephen A. And then Greeny goes on ESPN 2. So I'm on the app. So, like, if I have my earbuds in, I'm across the room, and I hear Stephen A. open and start yelling about something, I know I got to run over and change the channel and get to my Greeny because I do really like Greeny. He's
two completely
great.
different personalities.
Totally.
Greeny is the type of guy where I feel like he's approachable. I could approach this guy, be like, nice to meet you. Like he's just, oh, you're killing it in the space. Congratulations.
Yes. Super kind.
Stephen A. Smith. Not that Stephen A. Smith isn't like that, but I could just tell him like he's charismatic. He doesn't take any BS. Like probably not as approachable. Kind of like Paul Heyman. Like nice guy, but at the same time, I'm having a panic attack.
Sure.
I don't know what he's gonna say to me.
Of
Like,
course.
am I worthy of being in the same room as this guy?
But like Greeny eases in my morning. He gives me and Greeny covers everything and has great producers. I love Hembo. Like he's intelligent. I love that they cover baseball. A lot of shows really shy away from baseball. And they give you a little bit of everything. So I feel like if I'm going to do 3 hours in the morning, I want to know what happened last night in the NBA. Because on the East Coast, I don't get to watch all the late games. I like to go to bed, I want to hear about hockey. I'll give you my little taste of everything. And if there's something that really excites me, I'll dig deeper online. Whereas Stephen A. will just talk about something for 20 minutes, the same topic. And I'm like, I could have learned 10 things on Greeny right now.
Well, the thing is, like, especially during baseball, like playoff season, October, they'll give baseball 10 minutes. Like when Aaron Judge was breaking the home run record, it's like, oh, they'll bring on Mad Dog and talk for 10 minutes.
Who never pronounces anybody's name right as long as he's lived.
No. I've met him. He's like, Jake, what's going on, man? I'm like, yeah, okay. Nice to meet you, sir.
Yeah.
But Stephen A. Smith, like, you could tell, not a baseball fan. He'll talk about it because it's on the agenda and he has to talk about it.
It's on his rundown.
I appreciate the fact that he only talks NFL and NBA because it's what he loves to talk about as opposed to talking about hockey or baseball, where it's like, okay, he has limited knowledge, and I could tell. Like when he did, him and Rogan did the post McGregor Khabib thing on ESPN, and Rogan called him out. He's like, he doesn't know MMA like we do. Like I shouldn't have been there doing that with him.
No, and Rogan is so fucking good at it.
Yeah, well, it's like that's his whole life.
Oh my God, so good at it. But like, look, Stephen A., you have great producers. Let them speak for 10 minutes. Yeah. These young producers that we're hearing are eventually going to be in your seat. And so if you don't know something about Greeny does it. If there's something he's not really well versed in, he'll let his producers take it. And then you build a relationship with them too. I like building a relationship with the whole show. And ironically, I would rather listen to Greeny on the radio than watch him on TV.
Really?
I just like
the voice?
The voice. The TV is a little bit more distracting. And when I listen, I'm really focusing on that room. I don't know. I just really listen well when I'm not watching something.
How difficult or easy was it for you to try to kind of transition into being like a host? Because with SiriusXM, it was mostly radio with what you were doing. Obviously talking about something you were familiar with, but like, was it difficult for you becoming a host?
It wasn't, because I've been studying it for so many years of my life.
Yeah.
And, when I first went out on the road in the 90s, we didn't have the internet. You went into a hotel, the only goal was they have HBO and ESPN, right? You would have like 4 channels. And so that was when Sports Center was the same for like 8 hours overnight. And it would just be the same rotation, which I didn't even mind. I would watch the same rotation for like 3 hours. And so once it became me doing sports radio shows to promote my feature gigs, I really became a fan of sports radio. And so when I would sit there, I would see what I liked, like a good tease before a break, like, ooh, I want to answer that question. I'm definitely going to sit through this commercial. So curious. And before the internet, you couldn't even Google it before the commercial was over. And so I really picked up on, I was almost like I was studying my craft without knowing it. And those great hosts kept me company when I was alone on the road. For 7 years, I traveled alone. And so the only thing I had to look forward to was a sports page, ESPN, and now I love ESPN Up All Night on the SiriusXM app. It's like Sports Center, but you're just listening to it and it goes through the whole thing over and over, a loop. But so I listened to hosts and I was able to, like, when I sat there, I was like, oh my God, weirdly, I know what I'm doing because I've been listening to so much sports radio. I know how to, like, Greeny is the smoothest with a read. He could be having a conversation with an interview. You don't even know it's over. And next thing you know, he's talking about Indeed. And you're like, oh my God, that was so good. So, and I still study it because you always want to be better.
You're probably already like, you knew what they were going to talk about before they even started talking about it.
Yeah, it does.
That was me. I was watching games growing up. I'm like, oh, if they did that instead of that, that wouldn't have happened. And then like Michael K on the S Network is like, well, they should have done that. And I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I know, like, this is going to be easy.
K. Oh, another great broadcaster, right?
He's the reason I'm probably standing here with you today.
Really?
To get into sports media. I season tickets. I had no friends growing up because people would come to knock on the door. Is Jack home? It's like, yeah, but it's 7:05. First pitch is right around the corner. Like, I never missed a game.
That's amazing.
I turned away like kickball outside in the cul-de-sac. No, I'm watching the game. Sox are in town.
Was your brother the same way?
Not at all. I mean, he's a big fan, but
he would go out and play.
He has a lot of friends.
Did you collect cards?
Oh my God. Underneath my childhood bed, I have binder of nothing but cards. And I have like this one box of nothing but autographed cards, like jersey pieces, bat pieces, all that stuff.
And did you trade them with friends?
Absolutely. There was one time my dad like almost grounded me. I traded a Reggie Jackson autographed card for a guy who you might know as a Mets fan, Rod Barajas, was a catcher.
But still, that was not a worthy trade.
For whatever reason, my friend convinced me, dude, it's Rod Barajas. And I went home. And my dad's like, you traded Reggie? Like, for who? I'm like, Rod Barajas. He's like, who the fuck is Rod Barajas?
And by the way, catcher cards had no fucking value. No one could even recognize a catcher because all the gear they had. So it was like, you saw the picture, like, oh, I would have never known what this guy even looked like. So when I was a kid, I have an older brother, 2 years older than me, and we were both in. Like, I was a tomboy. I was really like, I'm really glad I grew up back then because somebody made me be a boy in today's world, but now I can actually I was just a tomboy. And so there was a library going out of business, and my mom and my grandfather went over. They had thrown away the card catalog system. So my grandfather and my mom together built it in our garage. So one side was for me, one side was for my brother. And the card catalog system from a library, you might be too young, but they held the cards of where you'd find the book, and they were the perfect size of trading cards. If you took the stick out that held those cards in. We had them organized, and we both had a different system, like, whether it was by team, and then I'd have like position, and then when our friends would come into the garage, it was like, yo, this shit has this is real. You cannot look in here until you tell me what you're bringing me before I even offer you a card from my card catalog system. And that's why I think I'm a good drafter, because playing fantasy sports reminded me very much of like trading cards. You knew the value. When somebody offers you a trade in fantasy, you're like, yo, that's a lopsided trade. Like, there's no value exchange for that trade. Trading cards taught me that really, really young.
It's like, it's sales. It's like, I know you're BSing me right now.
And also, I would look if they were bent. Like, I know you've been sliding this into something that it doesn't fit well in the corners a bit. Mine have been rocking in this climate-controlled garage with an air purifier and in these card catalog systems. Like, my cards are mint. And I just remember going and chewing that nasty gum that came with the cards to hope you just got one good card. And then I'd sit down with my brother, and of course, we'd trade. We'd open our packs first. And it's like, what do you already have? What do I already have? You know, make some good trades like you did with your Halloween candy. And then you'd put them in their respective places. And I kept an inventory on mine because I was always afraid he'd try and steal them when I was sleeping.
Wow, it was that serious.
Yeah. I had a little notebook, like a trapper keeper, and I would write each team when I added somebody on with the erasable pens back then. So I would erase when I traded one, add somebody new in. Like, it was so serious.
I remember, like, growing up, that's all it was just like, all right, set up the table. What are you bringing to the table, you know? I'd leave sometimes just like, oh, like, honey, what's wrong? Like, Kevin called me names. He's like...
He's trying to give me this shit card. There's no value to it.
Oh, dude, my dad made me cry for that Rod Barras, and we actually had to trade back. That's how lopsided it was.
But it was
like,
a signed card.
both of our dads were like, "Oh my god, you did that to him? No, you got to give him Reggie back." It was that bad.
Amazing. But you know what? That kept me really focused. And when I went on the road, like, sports kept me having fun on the road. I would always plan my feature bookings, what game I was going to go to when I was in the city. It would give me a lot more conversation with the guys that I was meeting at the club. It would bring me into the city in a different way. And I think it's what kept me from, you know, the lifestyle, drinking, you know, doing heavy drugs. Because I was always like, if I make it home from this club at 2, I can watch the replay of the Bulls game at 3 o'clock. And I knew I could, like, rush my shower, watch an NBA game from 3 to like 4:45, sleep a couple of hours. Then it was a new news cycle, and I would hear everything the next day. Kept me straight.
It's effortless too. Like, you just love it.
And in the 90s, players were not as afraid because there weren't cameras. So, like, players came into clubs. So if there was a game in town, you knew you were going to see pretty much every player from both teams come into the biggest strip club in the city. So you were going to, like, you know, find out how late they were going to be out, like, know a little bit of backstory. Are they a drinker? Are they not? Like, to kind of, like, hedge your bet in your mind of who was going to win.
I feel like the only guy you really knew went out and partied was Dennis Rodman.
There were many before Rodman. I would
like, you
say,
wouldn't know it just because of their on.
but there were no phones.
Yeah.
And the clubs would never tell because they wanted that kind of business. It really wasn't until the Mike Tyson incident in the hotel room where it changed, where agents started telling players, like, you can't go to these clubs, you can't bring these girls back with you, you can't trust people. And that was like, and I can remember dancing around that time and telling the girls I was working with, like, our money just got shot. Because those are the guys that would spend thousands of dollars. Now it's only rappers that do that. But before it was athletes. And they'd come in, they'd have their Super Bowl ring on. You want to wear it for a little while? Of course I do. Let me wear it for a little while. You put this big old thing on your fingers. And then it got to the point where it's like, no, they don't do that anymore.
There's probably so many reputations that were saved too. Like, Derek Jeter is looked at as like the class A guy in sports, especially growing up in New York, right?
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Because he has like the all-star list of ex-girlfriends that's well
And he
documented.
always sent the same basket, which I thought was really
That's
fascinating.
what people say, yeah.
I think that's like, if you go around and talk to doormen that knew some of these women in the building, like, they all knew what the basket was for. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That's like a trademark of all trademarks that is fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, the basket. And think about the people that sold these baskets. They were like, oh, another girl. They could have been keeping lists. You know what I mean?
I wonder if one of those girls just found like the giant like tray. It's like, oh, Mr. Jeter, your inventory came, all of your gift baskets.
All your gift baskets are here. How many girls do you think we're going to need these for this year? We want to get ahead of it. Yeah. But people didn't give him a hard time. I mean, he was single. He wasn't doing anything wrong.
No, he's being Derek Jeter. His results on the field masked everything anyways. Where like A-Rod could cheat on his wife and it'd be a huge deal.
How do you feel about players not being allowed into the Baseball Hall of Fame over PEDs, steroids? I mean, because I think we're at a lull right now where we're grabbing at people to bring in that don't really matter. And there was an era where before we were testing, before it was a conversation, I think probably a lot of the players that got in, we just never knew. And I kind of think it's unfair. Like, I could see Pete Rose as maybe a little bit of a different situation because of gambling, because it was completely illegal.
It was. He also didn't bet against the Reds,
I agree. Look, I believe he should be in. There's a lot of people I believe. But this year's class, I'm like, are we really at this point where we've run out of people that have records that we will all remember, records from cards that we traded that we would never give up. And now they're never going to get into the Hall of Fame. And we're going to have to wait 5-10 years to have some interesting characters be brought in.
Yeah. To me, Barry Bonds is the home run king, no matter how you look at it. Roger Clemens is a 7-time Cy Young Award winner and a great guy, too. Comes from a great family, a long line of Clemens. I've gotten to meet his wife, all of his kids. Like, they're good people, you know. Like, Andy Pettitte backed him, and Andy Pettitte used steroids. I could still see him getting into the Hall of Fame with 5-6-time world championships. To me, those two guys especially, I don't really like the Rafael Palmeiros of the world, the A-Rods of the world. Like, A-Rod's reputation got poo-pooed over much more than baseball.
I agree.
So, like, to me, it's like if he never gets in, it's whatever. But, like, a guy like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, class act individuals who have, in my opinion, made up for it. You know, they've helped the younger generations. They're great guys, great for the baseball
community. And Bonds
community.
still hit bombs when he wasn't using.
Well, that's something that they could use against him, being like, you were a Hall of Famer without the steroids. Why'd you have to use them? But to me, like, when you look at the stat board, 763 home runs. He is the home run king. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
And it's ridiculous that they both, I think this was the last year on the ballot last year, so they're done.
They're done.
Which sucks.
I agree with you, and I also think it's timing. Because, again, we don't know about the 10 years before then when they weren't testing yet. Like, that's what really burns me about it. It's like they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. And a lot of players take them to heal faster for recovery. There is still no true proof that made them a better hitter. And to me, the skill of actually hitting a baseball and actually making enough contact to have a home run has nothing to do with PEDs. It's a skill set. It's timing. It's knowing the pitcher. It's all of that combined, and you erased it all over one thing.
Like, you're a pro athlete. You're already just like this bionic version of what a normal human being is supposed to be like anyways. Like, who cares? Like, when you look at, I'll say Derek Jeter again, because he is not like, he does not look like an athlete.
No, if you saw him walking on the street, you could walk by him because he looks like a regular guy. I felt the same way about Derek Carr. I was at a Radio Row, and Derek Carr is one of those guys that he doesn't run with like a huge posse. He was just so low key. He was dressed casual, and he walked by our table with Sirius, and I was like, "That's Derek Carr." I'm like, "Wow, he's not a big dude, and he's so low key." It'd be the same way with Jeter.
I think, like, I saw David Wright in person once. I'm like, he's pretty yoked. Like, I wouldn't know it on TV, but like he's in pretty good shape. A lot of the pitchers who, like Max Scherzer, I'm like, wow, he's pretty veiny. Like,
God, they've got to be so lean. And also, they really don't get a lot of like big meal time during the season. Between practice and meetings and going back to the room, maybe some treatment, maybe a nap, some food. Their schedule is really intense. Baseball is intense. Basketball is intense too, but it's a lot of travel. It's a lot of moving around and being in different beds. It's a lot of adjusting to different food in different cities and like just getting by to eat your pure protein, plain chicken breast bullshit that we'd all be yoked if we were on that schedule.
Exactly. Who, in your opinion, that you've met is like the coolest athlete that you've ever met?
Oh, man. I mean, I think Barkley is just so cool. He's just funny. He's charismatic. And the fact that, I don't know if you saw when he was on McAfee and he talked about the fact that he won't be on social media. He's like, being rich and successful is like being the prom queen. All the ugly bitches hate you. Like, when he said that, I was like, oh my God, I love him even more. He's fantastic. Michael Irvin was just with us here at FSGA Winter Conference in Vegas last month, promoting the Stunt app, which I think is it's really cool. It's like an OnlyFans for sports people. Yep. And what's great about it is people are gonna be able to sell their content, whether it's rankings, articles, what have you. I think it's really gonna take off. I think it's very cool. So he's always been incredibly nice. That's a tough question because I go through my Rolodex of how many people I've met, and I just think I'm so fortunate to know so many people, and everybody's been really cool to me.
Man, I mean, it's to me. There's athletes, of course. There's rock stars, which can go either way. I've met really awesome rock stars. I think are the greatest human beings in the world. I've met rock stars that, oh wow, they were dicks.
Yeah, you're just an asshole.
Uh-huh.
You're making more money than you deserve, whereas athletes really had to work for it. I think there's something different. And I think they actually have more interaction with their fans. I walked out Frank Gore 2 Decembers ago when he was fighting in a Jake Paul fight.
Yeah.
And so I worked with Frank Gore and LaShawn McCoy when I was working for Bovada. Before sports betting was legal, the money as an influencer was in the offshore books. Like, it was so sad. Like, I wanted New York to legalize sports betting, and at the same time, I'm like, I can no longer promote a shady offshore book. This sucks. But walking out Frank Gore, you know, his kids, his family, he's a great dude. I did a bunch of lives with him. And when I would do lives with Shady, you know, Shady and Leonard Fournette were really good friends. And Shady and Frank Gore were really good friends. Frank Gore was actually the athlete that convinced Shady not to stay in school for another year and to play football instead. And the way he convinced him was his agent took him over to his house. You know, Shady is at the door and Frank's like, I'll be right back. And he comes from his safe with like a shit ton of cash. He's like, do you want this? Do you want this? Or do you want to go back to school? Like, what do you want to do? And like hearing that story, but Fournette would come on after a big game. He had that Fort Tutty game 2 seasons ago. And he's like soaking in his bathtub, you know, on a live with us, on an IG live, just killing it, just making me laugh. So like, they are just fun people that want to interact with other people. Like athletes are just different.
Like I met McAfee and AJ Hawk for Super Bowl week in Phoenix this past week. They're just exactly who they are on TV, which is great. I met A-Rod. I have a funny A-Rod story. So I was working security. I was a freshman in college. It was Diamondbacks, Nationals, Sunday Night Baseball, Mother's Day. It's A-Rod, Matt Vasgersian, and Jessica Mendoza, Sunday Night Baseball at the time. And I'm working security for the Diamondbacks.
Fuck.
So my job that night was to watch the production truck, the ESPN production truck. They're like, make sure that those 3 get in and out without any trouble, without fans bombarding.
Sure.
You know how legitimate fans can be who don't understand the business side of it. So it's like going in and out. Of course, I'm just like, oh, hey guys, big fan, whatever. Don't acknowledge me at all. You know, they're just in and out doing their thing. My shift ends, and I'm like, all right, I got to go to the bathroom. I walkie-talkie. I'm like, hey, guys, they're done. They're back in the truck. Can I go to the bathroom? They're like, yeah, sure, whatever. There was like porta potties right across from the production truck. And like, that's like the worst feeling in the world when someone like barges in on you. There was no lock on the door. But A-Rod barged in. And of course, I was just like, you know, someone's in here, you know. It's like the worst possible thing that could happen. And I knew, I'm like, that was my childhood hero, Alex Rodriguez. And I spent like the next 3 minutes or so thinking, I'm like, all right, this is my opportunity.
How do
This is my
I recover
opportunity.
from this? How do I make this work? Yeah.
And I get outside and I'm like, Mr. Rodriguez, I'm so sorry. And he has like this giant baseball mitt hand. And he just 5-stars me in the chest. He's like, it's all right, buddy. At least it wasn't Jennifer. And I looked over. There's like the big black Chevy Tahoe. And in the back seat, there's J-Lo. And she gave me a wink. And I walked away. I'm like, that was the coolest thing that's ever happened to me.
She follows me on social media. I love her so much. I love J-Lo.
Everyone loves J-Lo.
How can you not love J-Lo? Didn't love her and A-Rod together because he's a hustler.
It didn't work out. I thought that was gonna be the one that was gonna work out for her.
I knew it wasn't.
Didn't.
No.
Back to Ben Affleck.
That's odd too, but we won't even get into that. But yeah, so I prefer like probably the coolest, and when it comes to musicians, the coolest crew I ever met was Rage Against the Machine. Just great
Tom
dude.
Morello seems like a really
He's the
nice guy.
coolest dude ever. And they're also straight-laced. They don't do drugs. They don't drink. They don't party. Activists. I got to do their Tibetan Freedom show in San Fran where it was like this like 3-day event. It was so incredible. Chili Peppers Live. Like they're so tight.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like in the 90s. My very first email was them asking me. I had a friend that set up an email for me. I remember it was like a Lisa Ann 6969 at Hotmail, because that was what we all did in the business.
Perfect.
You know, we didn't do the triple X yet. It was 6969. I remember my first email was from them inviting me to go to this show. And I was like, this can't be real. I don't really know if I believe in email yet. You know, it's like, I don't know. When we first started getting email, my friend printed it over and brought it to my apartment. And I showed it to my friends. They're like, well, you got to go. What's the worst that can happen? I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. But do we know this is, and it was real. And so that just started out me going to a bunch of their shows and me being on the road at certain places and be like, hey, they're in town. Let me bring a bunch of people from the club in. They'd get us backstage, and was such a great connect for years.
That's so cool. They seem like really cool guys.
And they are even better live than listening to their music. Like they're so tight. And Morello on that guitar,
Their
the shit
sound
they can do
is
like, what? How is this even happening?
if it doesn't get you going, like the only way I can describe it is that it just sounds mean and rough, which is something you like. And it's got that Chili Pepper vibe where it's like, okay, it's like rap rock.
Yeah. And like if I want to lift weights, I listen to rap. But when I want to do a lot of cardio, I go back to the old school Tool, Rage Against the Machine, Alice in Chains, because the songs are longer and you just get so much more hype. You want to run, throw on some Rage Against the Machine. I promise you, you will just start running. Your body starts moving. But yeah, and basketball players are just so much more recognizable. And so everybody knows who they are everywhere. So they're also friendlier, I think, than other athletes because they're out there. You know, they're just out there.
I feel like as someone in the media and as a guy, when it comes to basketball players and that culture, it's like you really don't matter at all. It's like they don't want to do the
I like to
interviews.
sit
It's like,
courtside and I fuck every one of them when they're out doing shoot around and be like, I fucking you this whole game. Let's see how well you play. Please don't miss your free throws because I'm sitting right here. Right here. That's always fun for me.
see, you get to play mind games.
Because as soon as the first person realizes it's me, then you see them all go over and tell their friends and they're all looking over and giggling. And I'm like, yeah, I know we've been together on the internet. And now I'm sitting right here. You've seen me do my work. You better do your best work is what I'm thinking.
Who's someone that on the internet in the DMs played a big game and then when you met him, not at all?
So here's the reason why I don't name names.
You shouldn't.
No, it's just that my black book is so very active and I don't want to blow my own cover.
Yeah.
And so if I give someone away, then will I get less opportunity is really the question. So, but I'm reconnecting with someone that I banned from my life for about 3 years because we were getting ready to meet in the city. He's an NBA player, very well known. The last minute he asked me, and it's one of the biggest triggers, an amazing pet peeve. Hey, can you bring some friends for my friends? First of all, I don't run errands for anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not a madam. And you just wasted your opportunity. So he got put in the dead zone for 3 years. I just granted him forgiveness by unblocking him. And then, like the day I unblocked him, he realized it. And then we've been messaging ever since. So I'm like, look, I'll give you one more chance, but don't drop the fucking bag.
3 years.
Oh, yeah.
That'll teach someone.
3 years. And then you see me refollow you and you're like, okay, I'm back. Let me try this again. So yeah, I just don't kiss and tell.
Yeah. I mean, were you just going to feed your friends to somebody?
I'm not doing
They're
that.
not objects.
I'm not doing it. First of all, I'm not doing that. But second of all, I'm not doing that. And it's just annoying because it's like, I'm sure that other people may do that. And not to sound conceited, but like, it's me. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
You have to know better.
I want to talk about someone who you have publicly chastised.
This should be interesting.
I have this weird, not an obsession, but I have a fandom of Charlie Sheen.
Okay.
Like 2.5 Men loved, right?
Okay.
The whole Tiger Blood shit. I'm like, okay, at least he's being himself, right?
Okay.
That I always respected about him. But obviously people who either knew him personally or have seen him, it's like the guy's reckless.
Okay.
What's your take on Charlie Sheen and experience
Did
there?
I publicly oust him?
I think
I've never
so.
met him. I just knew, there was a time in 2013 where I was at the point of considering leaving the industry. And during that time, I had gotten word about him being HIV positive, but I also knew that he was having a kind of gaggle of pay for play parties where it's like girls would come over and have sex with people and they would get paid in drugs. And so what that would do for me as a performer is I would have to keep tabs on who these people were because my biggest fear was showing up on set with them and working with them and then putting my health at risk. Because let's say somebody tests on a Monday and I'm not working with them till the following Monday and they spend the weekend at one of these pay for play parties. I don't believe they're using condoms because they're doing drugs, right? And so it started to make my list get more narrow and more narrow of who I was willing to work with. And this really caused me a lot of fear. I also had a friend at the time who was dating him and wasn't really aware of his true status. And it wasn't until one of the girls in the business went to one of his play parties and actually went into his bathroom and photographed everything in his medicine cabinet. And that's when everybody knew he was definitely on the antivirals. He was definitely HIV positive. But at that point, he had probably been through 100 porno girls. And guess what? Then those girls go and work with the guys that I work with, and the guys don't know what's going on. So to me, that lack of trust, we had an outbreak, so we were shut down for a month. Then we had a syphilis situation where a performer was lying, was getting treated at another doctor and testing outside of the business. In 2013, we were shut down for 6 to 7 months of the year.
Really?
So that means you're not shooting. Now, for me, that wasn't a problem because I always had extra streams of income. I always feature danced. I didn't rely on shooting. But as a producer, me having locations rented and things that I would have to pay kill fees on, that really did hurt. And that was really when I was like, okay, this is getting more and more reckless. People are getting less and less careful. And I knew that I was at an age where I was like, is this smart that you are still taking a chance like this with your health? And the fact that even though you love doing it and you're making good money doing it, what you do affects everybody else in your life. And so you can't be with somebody in your personal life without giving them the whole thing like, oh, we're going to wear a condom. You should probably test. I'm going to test right before I see you. If you're smart and if you're considerate of others, it really puts you in this like hole where you're just like waiting for the wrong thing to happen. And so that was kind of my take on him, was really like, I knew this was going on. I couldn't really spread the word, the allegedly thing. Nobody wants to get sued. I was trying to slow warn people. But then it came back to me in the business that somebody had tested HIV positive and was testing at an outside clinic so that it wouldn't show up on our internet service that we have that shows. And I remember looking at the guy that told me this. And he was like, don't work with this guy because he has this. And I'm like, why are you telling me? You're probably going to work with a girl that works with him that's going to work with you. These are not hush-hush things.
Yeah.
These are things that have to be taken up with the health board. Like, these are big things. And that's when I lost a bit of trust. And, when I got into the business, if the girls were escorting or whatever you call it, hooking or doing privates, nobody would shoot them because they were worried about the risk of HIV. We didn't know as much about HIV in the 90s, and we were only testing once every 90 days. So you'd have a lot of trust.
So was there a lot of people in the industry that, like you said, were doing like just...
In the 90s, no. But as the internet popped and girls realized now that everybody knows who we are from the internet, we can actually get more money, doing these side jobs. So we're going to do that. And so that really made me afraid. It made me afraid for my health.
It's like being on a team, too. It's like,
Yep.
you're going to come back and get all of us sick. Like, that's
Yes.
not cool.
And you're going to have to tell every guy you date for the rest of your life that you have something serious like that. Something I just didn't want to have that conversation.
So you were like, I mean, obviously a professional in the industry, right?
Yeah.
And it's what you're known for.
Yeah.
If it's like, oh, Lisa Ann's here, it's like, oh, you think
The mattress
adult film.
actress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like you were always a pro at it, though, as opposed to some people actually like, oh, I can make more money actually just...
Yeah, and to me, like, look, if you're building a brand, I was smart enough to know that, like, each time you go into a hotel room with a guy by yourself, you're only making money for you.
Yeah.
So while these girls didn't want to do feature gigs because it was too much work and they could make more money hooking, I was getting more feature gigs. And I was like, I liked the honest grit of it. I liked the work. You know what? To me, there was nothing more satisfying than being on the road for so many years. And I'd come into clubs and the waitresses and the house girls and the house mom and everybody would come up to me like, oh my God, we're so glad you're here. We make so much money when you're here. It's bigger than you. You're promoting it. You're bringing your fans in. Yes, you're making money, but they're going to stay. And everyone else there is going to make money too. And, that was just like, to me, that gave me power. It made me feel a lot of power. So I always focused more on my feature dance gigs. Now I get to host at clubs. So I'm still in my favorite environment, which is strip clubs, which I just love the whole world of it. I love the people watching. I love all of it. But there was a sense of pride in that. And I think when people are only thinking of themselves and maybe making quick money, you forget that you should be part of a greater purpose. You should be a team no matter where you go. When you go into those clubs once a year and they get to know you after 10 years, like, it is so cool for them to look at you and be happy to see you for a good reason. So to me, I felt such a powerful feeling with that.
I feel like there could be a lot of toxicity in that industry too. So like when you do reconnect with people after like 5, 10, 15 years, it's like, wow, like we made it out on the other side. We respect each other. Like we were very successful in our profession too. It's like we did it the right way.
Yeah, I have a couple friends. My girlfriend, Aaliyah Janine, who left the industry to do comedy full time. She lives in New York. She does a bunch of shows. I try to support her as much as I can and go. I think it's really important for us to show everyone that's still in the industry now to be a part of that powerhouse and prop each other up and help each other. I think the hardest thing is there's still no one that's really actively helping talent understand their money. And when you're paid as an independent contractor at 18 years old, it's really not your fault that you don't do your taxes well or at all or put aside. So when I meet young girls, whether it's through my podcast or whether maybe their PR agent will reach out to me and say, I have this new girl, can you talk with her? Like, I ask a series of questions. What's the end goal here? Do you understand how much you should be putting in a separate account for your taxes? Do you have a good accountant that you trust? What are you really thinking is going to come out of this? Because if you don't build a brand and you don't have a skill, that money's not going to last you forever. But will last you forever. Doing porn is like getting a tattoo on your face. Everywhere you go, you are a porn star, even if you're not. It's not time sensitive. There's a new feverish masturbator every day that's finding my scenes and just discovering me for the first time. Does not know that I care about sports. Does not know any of those other things. So you have to be able to have kind of insulated yourself enough financially that you can make your move. And hopefully you get to make a move in a world where you're not counting dollars anymore.
Yep.
That you don't care. Like when I left porn to work for Sirius, I gave up 99.9% of my income. But I loved doing my show so much, and I still do. I would put so much more effort in, and I was so excited to work, and it would make me laugh. Because I'm like, you're making peanuts right now, but you feel so good about it. You're enjoying it so much, and there's no health risk, and there's no of these other things. So, but I insulated myself financially enough to be able to do that, and that's such a gift.
Oh yeah,
It's a gift.
You're doing what you love, so you feel good, you look good. You know, you have the finance situation taken care of too. Like when you first got into and like told people like I want to be a sports host, whether that be on radio, working with Sirius XM, or starting your own like betting channel or anything that you want to do in the future. Were there just like a ton of people online from what you saw? It was just like, but she's a porn star. Like she probably doesn't know anything about sports. Like was there like that little like thing?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Every Sunday I do some picks, and every Sunday, no matter what, there'll be the dude that's like first of 3. You were so much better when you had a dick in your ass. You look so much better with a dick in your mouth. You should have stuck to sucking dick. Like it is every day, all day, every day. But look, we're not looking for accolades from strangers.
Yeah.
You know, you have to do, my friends in my group always were like, whatever you want to do, you're going to be great at. Because when you commit to something, you commit. So we have no doubt. If this is what you want to pursue it. So as long as the people you care about are giving you the inspiration you need. But I worry about younger people who maybe aren't as tough as me, who get beat by those comments. In the first year, I was a lot more sensitive because they would then attack Sirius. They'd attack my co-host. Why the fuck would you want to sit by her? She's a whore. Like, but then I realized that the people I worked with, this was all new to them, and they kind of found it entertaining. So they would like troll the people back. So what do you do for a living, sir? You know, like, and they made it lighter for me. I was more worried about the effect that it had on others, and it's always going to be there, and I can't expect it to go away. And one of my New Year's resolutions this year was to no longer troll trolls. So normally, like last year, when a guy would say, "You look better with a dick in your mouth," I would write back, "I am so sorry that no one will let you put your dick in their mouth. I get it. My condolences." Like I would troll back, but I realized that that's putting an energy out there that I don't want. And instead of answering somebody that's negative, I should always answer somebody that's positive. And there are a lot of supportive people, and there are a lot of amazing people. And now we're seeing with OnlyFans and the younger generations in the business that there's more parents out there than ever to have a child in the industry. And so they're now looking at me as their hope, their pace car. Okay, she's okay. Maybe my child is going to be okay. So I'm watching this script flip, and I'm also watching me like I just don't want to lean into that, even though it was fun. But it doesn't. And, you know, somebody's going to get butthurt. Why would you respond to that guy? You're giving him attention. And I'm like, you know what? You're right.
I feel like that's like public figure class 101. Don't listen to, because there's going to be so much hate. Like, turn it off. Don't even allow DMs. Like, turn off your DMs.
My DMs are turned off. I have to follow you, and I have to DM you first. Like, I have every setting going, and I also have an assistant that cleans the streets for me. So before I go and comment to people on TikTok or YouTube, she deletes all the bad comments, and then she'll be like, "Okay, you can go on to TikTok now." I'm like, "Okay, thank you," because it's one less bit of exposure, but it's something you have to grow into. You know, but yeah, don't listen to the noise. You know, when I wanted to write a book, I started writing before I told anybody I was writing a book. When I went to do this sports show, I told my 3 best friends, and that's it. I didn't want the naysayers like, "Oh, you should stay in the business because you're making so much money." I knew I'd get a lot of that. And when I put my retirement letter out on my Facebook page, half the directors in the business sent me like fucked up texts like, "Hey, hit me up when you're broke and you want to come back in the business." Like that's how they were. Nobody was like, "Congratulations." And the rest of them just stayed silent.
All come running back.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, that was not what I expected. You were actually my people. But you have to know what you want to do and try it. And also be willing to fail. You're going to fail.
You have to fail to succeed.
You have to.
I mean, that's like entrepreneurship 101. Like, I was at a business seminar all weekend. That's all it was. People sharing their stories of how they went from zero to hero. Everybody fail. Like, you're never going to be successful. You're always going to be living at home with your parents. You're always going to be mooching off of someone if you don't actually get off your ass and fail.
How many of them made it and then lost it and then made it again?
Exactly, right?
Were there a lot?
Oh, like 2, 3, 4 times. People, because of lust, drugs, alcohol, bad business deals because you didn't really know, you didn't have the education, and
Sure.
people just rob you. Oh,
Or a
that's all it
friendship
is.
breaks up, or you're the
Oh,
same
relationships are
person,
everything, yeah.
and the other person gets hooked on drugs. Like, there's so many variables that, yeah, I could see that, but wow, that must have been fascinating. But it is true.
Mhm.
And failure is great because it allows you to accept it and move on and start fresh.
Hell yeah. And personally for you, I know you were married in your 20s, right?
Yes, I was. I tried it once. It didn't stick.
Didn't stick. I have multiple friends. I'm 24. I have multiple friends who are even younger than me,
You're
like
a
22, 23. I
baby.
know. Some people say I'm like a 50-year-old trapped inside a 24-year-old's
It's because of
body.
baseball.
Probably.
Yeah, Hembo. I feel the same way about
I
Hembo.
grew up.
Greenies
I grew up
producer.
wanting to be Michael K, and he was like 50 at the time. You know.
Yes, I
grew
see
up.
that.
I grew up on Michael K, Dave Grohl,
Oh, wow.
and Chris Jericho. Those are like my
And
three
you read
idols.
Dave Grohl's book, right?
Oh,
good.
storyteller?
So good.
Unbelievable.
So good. Okay, so where were you going with that? Age.
Marriage.
Marriage.
I have a question about getting married in your 20s.
Okay.
Given that you've done it and now you're on the other side of it.
Yeah.
I have friends who are engaged at 22, 23, you know, like there's Christian culture, there's people who just
Sure.
like want to get it done early because they think like time's running out. Was it obviously not married anymore, but like, do you think looking back at that was a great experience? It's good to get married that young. To me, as an entrepreneur trying to grow my life, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to focus on that until I have everything else settled. That way it's not stressful. All the other elements, the finances, job, plan it out a little bit more.
I think it's very up to the individual. I think if you're the person that wants to be all over the world doing multiple things, it's very hard to manage a relationship while you're building all of these different things. I mean, if you got poached right now to do play-by-play for the Baltimore Orioles,
Yeah.
you would leave your whole life behind and go do that, right? And so you can't expect a relationship to do that with you. Now you're asking somebody to maybe give up her nursing career, her teaching job. So I think it's unique. I also think some people living in a smaller town, like my friends in Easton, Pennsylvania, they got married young. Their kids are in their 30s now, and I never wanted kids, so that made it easier for me. But for them, it worked. They were living in a small community. They knew everybody. Their families were right there. I think it's very, very unique. For me, Mike was my first, real boyfriend.
Yeah.
And we moved in together, and we had the time of our lives together, traveling the world. I took him on the road with me as my roadie, and we, saw all the sights. And we were together for 7 years, but our last 2 years, things, really changed. And I was starting to grow up and I was starting to see things differently. He was starting to grow up and see things differently. I feel like he was more of a best friend that I had great sex with. And I will also say this. Did you watch the Pam and Tommy doc on Hulu?
Oh, of course.
Okay. So the one thing that I picked up most out of that doc, when it started and they were doing ecstasy, I was watching it with a bunch of my girlfriends and I'm like, please do not get married because I married somebody after doing ecstasy with them for a full fucking week. I mean, he and I did ecstasy for the whole first week we knew each other. And then I went back to California and packed up my shit and moved to Florida and we moved in together. And so when I saw that Pam and Tommy doc, I was like, the fucking ecstasy, man. It takes you to a level you are not there. And so we had a lot of party time. It was the 90s. We had we're still friends. We talk on our wedding anniversary. He's with someone and has raised her child to be 18, 19 now. It was a baby when they met. We had an amicable divorce. We only went through a mediator. I had to get a lawyer for one thing. So I was the one with the money. So it was more go to a mediator, give me a number. I'm buying my freedom, whatever you want. So it comes up the number, fine. But in the final paperwork, I had a Jordan jersey. And I got this Jordan jersey in a very unique way. I was in Kansas City, Missouri at a club called Bazookas. And there was this adult bookstore upstairs from the strip club where you would do your meet and greet, right?
Okay.
And so these random dudes came in. There was a trading card convention in town. And they're like, hey, we have this Michael Jordan card for a TOPPS signed jersey. Can you trade us some VHS and some magazines? Mike was like, I don't trust it. There's no way this shit is worth that jersey. I said, I don't give a fuck. I'll walk to the post office tomorrow morning. I'll mail it out. Whether we get it, we don't. We got it. We're rolling the dice with this, right?
Yeah.
I mailed it out right away. Get home from that tour a month later. fucking the pizza box was there. The jersey was there. 2 weeks later, we get a letter from the FBI. The FBI has realized that there were only 200 authentic cards and that somebody had duped those cards and like 400 of them were on the street, but there were only 200 jerseys. So I wrote my story to the FBI of like, look, here's how I got it. You can't prove whether my card was a real card or not. And then I told them that I gave it to my brother for a wedding gift and I couldn't ask for it back. I saved the letter from the FBI in the back of the jersey where you put the certificate of authenticity. So like when I saw that shit, that it was like the Jordan jersey in the divorce paperwork, I'm willing to give you any amount of money. And you want this jersey. So I hired a lawyer for $2,500. I remember going to the lawyer. It was like a 15-minute meeting. He reads this paperwork and he looks at me and goes, so tell me the story. What's unique about the jersey? I'm like, well, it's numbered. It's by TOPPS. It's autographed. It's authenticated. He's like, you're going to go to Big Five Sporting Goods right now. And you're going to buy this boy a Michael Jordan jersey. Because in these legal docs, it does not say signed, authenticated.
Yep.
You know, it says none of that. And I was like, oh, fucking bitch slap. So then I go back to the lawyer. I'm like, here's the Big Five bag. There's the Michael Jordan jersey. We're signing. We're officially divorced. Boom. And so that's kind of been our ongoing joke is like, I would just continue to send him photos of the Jordan jersey that I kept because you didn't do it. And also, I walked the post office in Kansas City, Missouri in the snow alone because he thought it was fake the whole time. But we got the jersey and it was a real jersey from TOPPS. So
Jesus.
I fought for that bag. But other than that, it was, you know, we had a simple agreement that we made the day we were getting married. 3 rules. 1, if we don't make it, you leave with the friends that you came in with. So I wouldn't keep in touch with his friends. He wouldn't keep in touch with mine. 2, there would be no shit talking. And 3, we would go back to our respective places. He was from Florida. We were living in California together. So I lived in Florida for a year, then moved him to California. So when we split up, he moved back to Florida. We, you know, boom. We didn't talk for a couple of years. Then birthdays came, Christmas came, and our anniversary. And last year was our 20th.
Wow.
20th wedding anniversary, even though we're still not married. But, you know, you end things. I don't believe in spending that much time with somebody and having a negative impression on the impact they had in your life. He helped me grow up a lot. His dad was brilliant and talked to me a lot about money and really educated me. He came from money. I didn't. So his dad knew that I was making money and wanted to make sure I was doing the right thing with that money. So I believe that I became a better person from that relationship. But I don't think getting married in your 20s is for everyone. I think it's a game changer for everyone. Now, look, you're settled at home. You're an engineer. She's a teacher. Your parents you see every weekend. You want to stay in and you want to have babies young. Fucking get married. We need you. We need you to populate. But for the rest of us, still to this day, I have not lived with another guy.
Really?
And I also have not had another long-term relationship.
Is that by choice or just hasn't
By
worked out that way?
By choice.
Yeah.
I like being a free spirit, you know, and I've tried them in a couple times, but it's like, I'm on the go a lot. Like, this is my 9th trip of 2023. How do you explain that to a relationship? Like, oh, so what?
9th trip overall, 9th trip to Vegas.
9th trip overall.
Okay.
All different places. 3rd trip to Vegas this year. Like, how do you explain that to somebody? And if you're not explaining it, you're canceling a trip. You get an opportunity to go to a great sporting event and she wants to do something that weekend. What do? You don't go to the sporting event and then you resent her. Like, it depends what your priorities are.
Exactly.
So I don't think it's for everyone. I don't think young people should be. I think you will know in your gut if it is the right thing for you. But I think if you're listening to your friends and outside influences of what they're doing, you cannot compare yourself to other people.
You really have to be like head first. Like, I'm in this relationship. I'm committed to you.
Right. And do you want kids?
One day.
Okay.
It'd be nice.
So one day, but not right now. Some people want to have them in their 20s.
Because some people I feel like think that, oh, if I don't get married in the next 3 years, like, oh, it's over. It's
Right.
Like, it's not.
And that's not. There's people, who was it? Jay Glazer.
That's
just
right.
got engaged.
That's right.
First time.
That's
52
right.
years old.
That's right.
He looked fit. By the way, she's hot.
Look at Dwayne, The Rock. Like,
The Rock.
had kids at 50.
The Rock, you know, but like, yeah, it's different. And I think that we put too much pressure on young people to make lifetime decisions. What you're going to do when you go to college. How does one kid know at 18? Some people know. Some people are like, I've wanted to do this since I was 5. Good for you. That's amazing, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think we get swayed in our 20s more than any other age because we're going to a ton of weddings. You're like, I don't think Mike and I would have gotten married if we didn't move in together and start going to a bunch of our friends' weddings. And then parents were like, when are you two getting married? You should be doing this. And it's just like, it like happened for us. And the next thing you know, you wake up, you're like, what the fuck did we just do? And what just happened there? Just a ton of ecstasy. And now we're sharing credit. We did run each other's credit, though, before we got married.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys were Pam and Tommy.
Yeah. I didn't want to I want to make sure you have a cable box you didn't return. It's going to be on our credit. I want to make sure we take care of that.
Man.
Business. I've always been big business.
Yeah. And given that was your first love too, I see that so many times. First relationship is just lovey-dovey, honeymoon stage forever. You don't really see anybody else, I feel like.
No.
So you're almost blind in a way.
And I was taking a break from doing scenes, and I do think what happened in 1997 in the business really affected me getting serious with him and kind of making this the sliding door theory where something so crazy happens and it makes you lock into the next thing without thinking. So in 1996, 97, the end of 96, we had a bunch of women testing positive for HIV. And to me, that meant there's a male performer that's HIV positive that's still shooting. And once we got to the sixth woman, I was like, fuck this. I'm not shooting. So I was like, I'm just going to go on the road full-time feature dancing. And then the following year, we found out who it was. You can watch the documentary. It's called Porndemic. And I was so close to that. And so I think when I met him, I had such a distrust in everything I was doing that it made me latch onto him even more.
Yeah.
He was a 49ers fan, though. And the very first time we met, he showed up at my door to pick me up to go to the club. It was a Monday night game. It was Niners Cowboys. I was wearing a Niners jersey, Cowboys jersey. He was wearing a Niners jersey. And I remember slamming the door in his face and calling the club and telling the club, this motherfucker cannot drive me wearing this Niners jersey because I was such a diva. And he had to take the jersey off.
Really?
Yes.
Damn, that's a lot.
It was a lot. I was a handful back then, but he liked it.
Oh, of course. Right?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, and I know a friend of mine, Renee Paquette, asked you this question.
I love Renee.
All
What
Canadians
a
are the best.
doll. Amazing, right?
Right.
And she recently had a baby.
That's right.
Oh, she's so beautiful and wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
What did she ask?
She was asking you about how hard it is probably to date around, given your title and your background.
It's
and
very difficult. It's very difficult. Of course, everybody knows who I am, and though everybody
even put that aside, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, it's man, am I going to live up to
That's so guys get it in their head. I always say everybody wants to be with me, but nobody wants to be with me.
Yeah.
And that's really a theory I tell girls in the business. Everybody's gonna want to be with you, but do they really want to be with you? I'm very lucky to have a nice group of men in my life that I get to enjoy sexually and I enjoy friendships with. And for me, each time I tell one of my friends, my close girlfriends, I think I'm catching feelings for this guy. And they'll be like, well, just step away from it because you are a solo rider. You're supposed to be traveling the world. This is who you are. Don't get lost in the sauce. Okay, I'm not opposed, but meeting this group and being comfortable with them is one thing. But then next level, being able to accept the things that play on in their head. And it's not just them. It's their friends. Mike would go golfing with his friends and guys would say shit yo, I was just watching your girl last night getting fucked. Guys do weird shit to each other that I can't even imagine because women just don't do that. So you're constantly on pins and needles. Okay, he's taking this guy's trip. What are his guy friends going to say? There's just a lot that comes with it, especially at my ilk, right? Being as popular as I was, especially focusing so much of my career on stabilizing the balance between black and white performers. When I first got in the industry, I was like, if you're a contract girl, you're not allowed to do interracial. And I'm like, fuck all of you. I'm only going to do interracial when I get out of this contract. So there's a lot of different layers to me that people have questions about and don't really understand. And that makes it hard.
Yeah.
And guys are inherently a little bit more jealous. And so there's nothing worse than being on a date and a random fan hands your date the phone. And then your date is oh, so I'm supposed to take a photo of this guy because he masturbated to you. Do you know how many times I've been on dates with civilians, people not in the industry, and they're like, oh, so I'm supposed to take a picture because you've masturbated to my date? And I'm like, okay, I don't think that's going well. I think this is awkward. This has gotten weird, and that's just normal. So who knows what will happen in the future? But for now, I'm just happy living my life, and I'm still a very sexual person. And so I find it impossible to date people my age. Mm-hmm. So, and it's just weird. I'll be 51 in May. And most 50, 51-year-old men have already had a family, divorce. There's always this constant conversation. I've gone on first dates with a bunch of guys my age. And I'm always conversation is just not where I'm at. I'm like, hey, can we go outside and smoke some weed? I still have a very young mentality. But it's really hard. Guys get really insecure. They can deal with it for maybe the first month. And then month 2 comes around and then they start asking a lot of questions. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this has run its course. We're good.
They get comfortable enough to
Yeah.
ask you like the hard-hitting questions that they probably wanted to ask you the first time they met you.
Right. And then sometimes I'll hook up with a guy for the first time. And after we have sex, I'll be like, okay, so you watched tape. Like you mimicked like every last 25 scenes I did. I can tell what platform they watch on, what style scenes
Really?
they like. Oh, yeah. When you're with a
Jeez.
newbie between 21 and 25, right away I'm like, okay, I know what this guy's watching and I need to train him a bit on how to operate with a different woman than the girl that he's been obsessed with in a movie. Because that's just a movie.
And I talked to Spencer about this too. Like porn and real life sex aren't the same thing at all.
At all. Now you can still get off. You can still orgasm, but it's not the level of intimacy of being one-on-one with somebody. You're in a well-lit room with people standing there. You can hear people's stomach growling across the room. And like you're opening up. And to me, like intimacy is really about touching and kissing. And so you can't really do that because then you're closing off to the camera. So it's 2 different experiences, but I wouldn't exchange what I learned about myself sexually in the industry on camera for anything. And I knew that when I first started dancing, I was like, oh, I really like being watched. Let me see what this is like on a camera, like set being watched. My first set shot on film, you know, craft services, the whole crew. Nobody had seen me naked yet. And I'm on this outdoor trellis overlooking the Hollywood sign. I look over and there's like 30 people sitting on the lawn, like eating lunch while they're watching my scene. I'm like, this is fucking
that's
fantastic. Like, this is amazing. This is just like, this is everything. And I loved it. And I explored things that like I would have been too afraid to do in my personal life. Like, I'm not going to arrange 5 guys to come over to my apartment at the same time. What if they murder me? What if they murder each other? What if they rob me? Like, I don't know. On set, you can call a director and be like, you know, I'm really curious about trying this, and this. Do you think you can set this up? And boom, next thing you know, you're shooting it. So that was fun for me.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Just like all like the different like creative styles and everything.
And I don't think everybody can do it. I think it takes a unique individual to do it.
I feel like there's a lot of people that would emotionally break down quick.
Yeah.
Have
And
you
I
seen
saw that a lot in the business.
Oof.
Yeah. I would say probably 25% of the people in the business right now should be in the business. And 75% are doing it for the money and potentially not even saving that money and not understanding the ramifications after. And most of the young girls always say like, I'll marry some rich old guy when I'm done. I always tell them like, you have a window. If you don't marry this guy by 30, they don't want a 30-some-year-old washed up porn. They want like 24 to 21. So like you better hone that in before you're out of the range of the rich guy wanting you.
I feel like in any other industry, whether you want to like be an entrepreneur, like people will tell you have to love it or else it's going to fizzle out, right? Especially like making your own finances, whatever. If you want to be an athlete, you better love it because there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come with it. It owns you, the discipline, everything. As a porn star, it's like you're telling people you have to love it, right? Like you have to love it as opposed to
love it.
Like you loved it.
Yeah, and I think for people to love you, to be a well-known performer, you can be a paycheck performer, just like we've seen athletes, running back, wide receivers. You're a paycheck performer. We know who you are. But if you don't love it, you're not going to gravitate that brand of being authentic. So for me, it was like really important to want to work with everybody I worked with, want to do the styles of scenes I wanted to do because, you know, like think about the fact that you're making money and you get to orgasm at the same time. And then think about the fact that like all of your other friends are out at night after work trying to hook up with somebody. And you're like, my shit is done. I can lay back and watch like 3 basketball games tonight. You know, on the West Coast, you get games so early. You can watch so late. So for that, it was amazing. You get the best of both.
And it's 2 completely different things.
2 completely different. And I also didn't do it as much as other people do. You know, when I got in, I only did 1 movie a month. At my busiest time, the most scenes I ever shot in a month was like 5. So I would do 2 or 3 scenes a month because I was always on the road. I was always doing other things, feature dancing, appearances, clubs. And so I enjoyed it for those. It was like a little vacation for those 3 to 5 days. People that do it 20 days a month, I'm like, how the fuck do you do that?
Like,
how the fuck do you do that?
The toll it takes
on your
too,
body, yeah.
spiritually, mentally, physically.
Yeah, all that.
When you were you scared first getting into it, or were you like head first? This is what I wanted to do.
So I studied it for 2 years before I got in. So in that 2-year span, I was working at a club in Reading, Pennsylvania. I was 18, and they had porn stars and magazine models coming in every week. So I interviewed those girls for 2 full years. Any feature that would talk to me, I would ask these questions. Everything from like, how do I get on the box cover? What types of scenes should I do? What shouldn't I do? Who should I work for? And those women gave me addresses to write to by mail. So I would hire photographers, get the pictures developed, mail them to California from Pennsylvania, wait for them to either write me back or call me, long distance phone call with a calling card, like that whole, this is, the early 90s. And so I think by the time I actually got there, I had visualized it for so long. I'd been watching VHS tape after VHS tape. Every girl that came into the club would give me the next movie that was out, and I'd watch and I'd watch and I'd watch. And so I think by the time I got there, I was like so ready to experience it, because it took me 2 years to interview and a total of almost 4 years to actually get on set. And it was things as simple as like company writing me back and being like, hey, get your boobs done and then send us new photos. And I was like, okay. So I'd get my boobs done, all new photo shoot, send them back out. Like all of these things took time. So it wasn't a flippant decision. So by the time I got there, it was almost like the grand finale. Like, oh my God, I finally fucking did this. I'm here.
Yeah.
I bought a one-way ticket, and it was my first flight of my entire life. And I let a stranger pick me up at the airport, and I stayed at his house for a month.
A month.
A month, because he was like an agent at the time that would just take on like 4 or 5 girls a year, girls that only wanted to be a contract star. So I knew by the time I got out there that I just wanted to be a contract star. I wanted to work for one company, meet one group of people, be in a family with them, and not have to meet a ton of random people, because I heard a lot of bad things. And I also didn't really want to live in LA. I wanted to live in the beach. So if I'm going to move from Pennsylvania to California, why do I want to live in the valley? So I wanted to be able to organize these things with a company. I also knew when my peak money was as a feature dancer. So I wanted to kind of shoot all my movies at one time and then not have to go to the valley. So this guy, Peter Davey, he's just an amazing man, still close with him, wonderful human. Everyone recommended him, said he won't be creepy with you. We've stayed with him. He was not creepy with me. Had a beautiful house in Tarzana. And I remember I had this spare bedroom that had these French doors that went out this backyard that had all these beautiful flowers and plants. And I just remember being like, oh my God, I'm here. He picked me up at the airport in a Rolls Royce. It was 4th of July. And he took me to my very first porn party. And like everybody, the girls that I'd met, a lot of them were there. And then like all the male performers who of course I'd never met, and I remember just showing up at this house and driving through the valley, and it looked like everything I had watched on 90210. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm here. There's nothing but strip malls here. There's beautiful homes in the hill. And so it was his job to take me door to door to these companies. I had narrowed it down to about 7 companies I wanted to work for. And then I also, of course, wanted to do magazines, and that would be with Hustler. So he took me to Hustler. And through that time of writing, I became really good friends with Larry Flint's assistant, who, rest in peace, but now is his wife. Larry passed away during the pandemic. And her and I became like so close that by the time I got to LA, she's like, oh my gosh, come in. I'll take you up to meet Larry. And I remember the first time walking into his office, I was such a like fresh out of Pennsylvania, like, oh my God, this is happening. But Peter took me around door to door, and there were like a lot of strange things back then. There weren't contract girls that were a brunette. So it was like 3 companies, first 3 companies they went to, like, okay, are you willing to dye your hair blonde? And I was like, well, how am I going to do that? Like, and why would I do that? Do I dye my eyebrows? Do I dye my bush? Like, I had so many questions. I was like, carpet's not going to match the drapes. Like, what the fuck are you asking me to do? It's nuts. I'm outside of Philly, like, thinking these people are crazy. Mm-hmm. And then finally, I found a company that was owned by an Italian, Kenny Guarino, and who was, in the Italian culture, it's kind of disrespectful to change your hair color because it means you're going away from your cultural roots. And so I was in like Flynn, and then I stayed with his VP for like 3 months till I found a place at the beach. And, back then we made money. They gave us a great contract amount. They would normally pay for your rent. They would normally pay for your car. They hired me a personal trainer and a nutritionalist because they wanted me to lose 20 pounds before they would shoot me. And I just, grew from there. So the buildup was so big, narrowing down these companies by how they would interact with me, either by mail or by a long distance phone call. And then getting out and seeing that at the time, porn offices were like in the back of a warehouse. And like, I pictured it was going to be so glamorous. Larry Flint's office, fucking glamorous. He was on the top of that building on Wilshire, whole panoramic view, like upstairs, like his desk was over 300 years old, Tiffany lamps everywhere. Like it was like sick. And then every other person after that, it's like, why are we walking through a warehouse with VHS everywhere? Oh, because the office is like that janky fucking room right there. And I was like,
Yep.
this is
Guys
what I
just
came,
smoking their
this
cigarettes.
is what I fucking came out. You got to be kidding me. But then once I found Metro, they had a really good situation right off of Saticoy. I was like, all right, this is an office. I can be down with this. And it worked for me.
That's crazy.
By
Like,
mail.
that's a crazy start.
How long it took me? So yeah, by the time I got here, I was ready.
That is grit, ladies and gentlemen.
That is dedication to your craft. Also, doing your homework and working on it for that long makes you take that time to see, is this something I can do? You know, and the women back then were so kind, you know, to tell me things. You know, I was like, you know, it was 6 months in, I was like, I remember I was sitting with Christy Canyon, who I met for my first time when I was 18. I'm still friends with her. She's lovely. And I remember asking her, like, how can I get my name incorporated in with the title of the movie? Because I had noticed on some of the VHS, when you'd look at them sideways, you could only see half of the girl, but like the really popular girls, their name was like incorporated. Like I was branding 101 from studying it for that long. And I remember her saying to me, like, you're going to take over the business because the questions you've asked me have been so unique and so specific. And it shows that you have a business sense. You're not just going out there to get drug money. I'm like, fuck no. I'm getting out there to fucking make it and to, you know, always want to be in music videos and, you know, do those kinds of things. Like I knew there was other star levels that you could get to once you became popular.
Yeah. And you really do have an amazing business sense, whether it be, you know, what you're known for initially, getting into the sports industry and radio as well, social media. That's the one thing, that'll be the last thing I ask you too. I don't know. I told you like an hour. I don't know how long we've gone.
Oh, we can do this forever because look, Spence is back. You're on time. We have 5 minutes.
You're a baseball guy too. She got me to mention a name I've never thought I would mention again in Rod Barajas. I don't even remember that guy existed. We were talking baseball cards. I traded a Reggie Jackson autographed card for a Rod Barajas bat piece when I was 8 years old to a kid, and my dad yelled at me. My
His
dad
friend scammed him hard.
grounded me.
That was a lopsided trade if I ever fucking heard one.
Yeah, my dad grounded me, and then he called the other dad, and he's like, "Oh, what an awful deal, Danny. What are you doing?
What are you
and Then,
doing?"
and then we traded back. But when it comes to social media, especially with, you know, people either in the adult film industry or in general, like you have the most, you know, brand building success, I'd say.
Well, I was a little bit intimidated by social media when it first appeared because I had been running a fan club by mail, doing a monthly newsletter. I mean, at 18, I was going to Kinko's and printing out my schedule of all the different clubs I danced at to give them to customers so I could start driving customers from club to other club to follow me. So I already had that. So there were a lot of classes available when social media first started. So I took every fucking class from I'm certified to train with Hootsuite. Like every software that came out that was offering a class, I'm like, I'll fucking sign up for this because I just wanted to know. I wanted to learn, how do you grow? All of these different things. And then I just got better and better. And I still watch tutorials. I still read. I still watch other influencers talk about tips, like YouTube. It's constantly evolving. Like if you ask me at this time next year, Twitter will be done. You know, I briefly mentioned that to you. Twitter has become the new Pornhub. We saw what happened to Pornhub in 2020. They had to get rid of 60% of their scenes. Now we've got Twitter, which is, you know, promoting like minors having sex on Twitter because nobody's regulating who's posting stuff. And I just believe the smartest thing from us will be he'll be facing court. He'll be facing revenge porn and all of the things that Pornhub did. And then he'll just be a smart man, file bankruptcy, and we'll be fucking done with Twitter. But until then, we've got to live through the cesspool that is. Like he decided this week, he doesn't want to pay for the backing for us to have two-step verification. So now anybody can fucking hack your account and you can no longer get a text back saying somebody's trying to hack your account. Like what he's doing is just a shit show. So learning how you're going to use these different platforms is important because MySpace went away. You know, what was the other one that went away that everybody was on that I didn't go on? It was a sharing site. It was like a Pinterest, but everybody used it for porn. I never used it.
Yeah, it may have been way above
Okay,
my
so,
pay grade.
but it's like constantly learning about how you can make it work, constantly networking. It's the greatest free tool we're ever going to have, but it also can be a total demon if you let it own you.
Oh, 1,000%.
Total demon. I do social media off days where everything is set up with a scheduler. My posts are going to be going out and I don't look at it for 24 hours.
Yeah, it's a tool, but you can't let the tool use you, right?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
like there's so many people that just let that absorb their life. Like people will stand in front of like their friend's Mercedes and be like, look where I'm at. And then it's like, oh, the kid at home, just no job, nothing. He's like, my life sucks, you know?
Yeah, but when the kid at home comes to me and says, my life sucks, can you send me some money? I'm like, well, how about
Well, that's
this?
pathetic.
Don't go back on social media until you have a job. Like, stop looking at home if you have no job. But we've let it control people, and it also gives a fake impression of what someone's real life is like.
Mm-hmm.
We're not showing our real lives. We're showing the best day possible.
Mm-hmm. Very few people, I feel like the most successful people share their failures on social media.
Yeah.
And the weird thing now, and I know Twitter's doing this just because the entire thing is changing, but even Instagram, like you can pay $8 a month to verify your account now.
Which is such fucking bullshit.
Like, don't you
know
have to
what we
earn-
went through to get? You have to be.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the domain, the trademark, proving how many years you've been using this name. Like we went through so much. Even with Twitter, we went through so much. I'm verified on Twitter. Facebook was really tough, and Instagram. Instagram was the longest. It took 3 years of my agent working it out for me, and now it means nothing. So sad.
Anybody can do it.
So sad. So sad. Changes everything.
Mm-hmm. Only one-step verification, and anybody could have a blue check mark.
Yeah, Twitter Blue is really something. But like, look, you had to know that when he was being successful with people paying for it, it's a smart business move for Instagram and Facebook to add it. It's like, well, if they're willing to give him $8.99 a month, they're going to be willing to give us $8.99 a month. You got to, I don't agree with it, but it's a business model.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like if Starbucks started charging for the cup because the store next door charged for the cup. It's like, well, they're paying for the cup over there. Why won't we charge for the cup? I get it. You got to charge for the cup.
Yep.
You gotta
And they're
make
still
your
going to
money.
pay for it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I don't know how much time we actually
How
spent
long
today.
were we talking?
Hour and a half, hour 40 minutes.
Wow,
Holy
this is like
shit.
one of my longer episodes.
Listen, we got to
Perfect.
do this again because we got to talk
See,
more
you
baseball.
got me talking about baseball
because we
cards.
went through I had to ask him did you collect trading cards when you were growing up? And that's where we got to that story. We did. We totally. We didn't really get to the meat and potatoes of the interview. We didn't really even stop talking about porn until you got here, which is
It was such a backwards
We
interview.
must have felt his energy, but that's okay.
Spencer's like, did they just start?
That's okay. We did have a deep conversation about sports, which I really enjoyed. And
Yeah.
if you're worried about being your age and getting married, stop worrying about it.
Oh, I'm not worried. People are telling me I'm worried.
You're not worried.
I love it. I love being single.
You're
But
not worried.
this was episode 645 of the podcast. I forget, it's something in the 640s, presented by tickpick.com. Thank you so much to Spencer Barrick, who's right here, and Hardeen Cannabis Dispensary out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, for having us on the show today. Go check us out. Like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Jack O'Hara TV. Check it out, guys.